Hi everyone, welcome to the Productive Wellbeing Show, episode 16 with me, your host Abigail Barnes, and today we are joined by the amazing Laura Coleman. Laura is the founder of Be Modern Meditation, and today we are having a conversation all about meditation because a lot of people are sort of letting me know that they feel they know the benefits of meditation, but they feel really distracted, and myself included. Now, Laura and I have had quite a number of conversations, so we're just going to specifically talk about a couple of things today. As you're joining, let us know where you're coming from. If you are joining on the replay, say replay. If you're live, say live. I'd love for you to let me know in the comments where you're joining from as well, so we can have a conversation. And as I was saying, yeah, so Laura's done lots of stuff with me, having conversations before, and at the end of this I'll tell you where you can go to get them if you're like, I want to know more. And Laura's also going to tell us how to find out more about the work that she does. So today, thank you, Laura, for making the time to join me on the show.
Oh, you're welcome. It's great to be here today.
Today we're really focusing in on this. I'm too distracted to meditate, but I know it's good for me. Everybody is sort of talking about the benefits of it. What can I do? So I guess it's a kind of a two-part question. How can I find some peace in order to be able to meditate? What can I do if I don't really understand meditation and getting started? Hey Beth, hey Sarah. Yeah, give us some sort of tips about why meditation would be so helpful for us right now.
It's a very big topic because I think it kind of feeds into a whole bigger concept, really, of we're all under that pressure to cope with this unprecedented situation we find ourselves in. And it's like, how do I have these anchor points to keep me sane, to keep me on balance? And I think probably a lot of us are more well practiced at the physical ways we do that, in terms of, I need to eat well, I need to move, but how do I fix in here so that I can cope with what's going on? And so I really relate to that issue of, I'm just too distracted, because when there is so much chaos, the calm that we need can feel really elusive. So there's a few bits of advice I would give, and the first would be to say to not put too much pressure on yourself to make it too big. So start with that you can even just take small moments many times through your day. And there's some research coming out of University of California now, which actually shows that the benefits of taking small moments throughout your day can be as cumulatively as effective as having a practice where you sit down and you take longer, which is really fascinating. And it's something that I've certainly talked about a lot with my clients around making it accessible to your actual life, the one that's maybe now suddenly got children at home, partners at home, trying to adapt to these new conditions. So start small. So maybe that's when the kettle's boiling to make a cup of tea, you don't do anything, you stand, you feel your feet on the ground, you just connect back to your body right now. That's meditation. Or perhaps it is having a very short practice in your day, so 5 minutes of meditation before you start your day, before you get to your desk, or maybe even at your desk before you sit down, before you get started with your work. How can you create anchors in your day that become like a trigger in themselves, so that you don't have to think, oh God, I didn't meditate. It's just, when I get to my desk, I do this. When I boil the kettle, I do that. When I take a lunch break, I do this. So it's finding a way to make it automatic, rather than it being another thing that you're not doing well enough at. Because I think that's another thing that I'm sensing from people is that feeling of I should be nailing this. I should be doing all the things and doing everything in the right way. So
amazing. And so guys, just let us know in the comments, like, do you meditate? Do you know how to meditate? Because I've obviously sort of said to Laura today, we're not really specifically focusing on how do I meditate and what is it, because I've interviewed her so many times about this, and there are so many things that I can reference for you to go and look at. But just, I guess, one question. So Laura's got a training program that I did, and when I went through it, I really understood what meditation is, because there's so many different types, there's so many conversations, and I was a bit overwhelmed with, am I doing it right? So if I'm a bit distracted, but I do have time and make time to go for my daily walk, let's say. So when I'm on my daily walk, can I incorporate, or is being mindful and noticing the birds, the trees, this kind of thing, am I actually, because I wonder if I'm actually meditating. I'm really struggling to sit for 8 minutes, like how I'd got to doing it with you.
Yeah, so I think that's a really good point, that actually, well, first of all, there's that, what is mindfulness, what is meditation, which is a whole big topic as well. But whenever you're engaging in mindfulness, where you're literally really fully present in the moment that you're in, without judgment, and just paying attention on purpose, so choosing where you place attention, so allowing yourself to, on your walk, become aware of the sound of the birds, the feel of the floor underneath you, that's mindfulness. And it's a way of really getting into this moment, and it releases you from the stress and the pressure. So yes, it is a kind of meditation in the sense that it's being fully present. Now, if you wanted to kind of make that more of a meditative practice, it would be about making it so that you consciously say, right, anytime that I get distracted from focusing on where I am now, I notice and I come back. Because one of the key things with the meditation is actually, what am I doing with my attention? Where am I placing it? And what do I do when it gets hijacked? And so as soon as you notice, oh, I'm not with the bird song anymore, I'm not with whatever I'm choosing to be aware of, and I come back to it, that's the practice. So for example, you could choose on a walk to say, right, I'm going to use what I can hear as my meditation. So I'm going to just focus on what can I hear right now. And anytime I suddenly get distracted by, I wonder how far I've walked. Oh, I'm listening. And so you just come back to listening. And every time you do that action of coming back, that's a meditation practice. So that's a really useful way of making any activity a meditation.
Yeah, and I guess that's sort of a really simple step for some of us right now who might be finding it's too noisy in our homes, or we just haven't got the space or the peace or the silence that we used to have. The kids are not going to school, and especially now it's Easter holiday time, they're definitely not sort of in their usual routines. So I guess how could you sort of turn that walk into something a little bit, because when I'm on my walk, sometimes I'll be like, oh, the birds, they're amazing, and then my mind will be, you need to phone this person, you need to reply to that email, and I'll be like, oh, the birds are amazing.
Yeah, and that's it, that moment of noticing, that's the practice. Now we tend to think of the, particularly with an eyes closed practice, we tend to think, well, when my mind gets to that still place, that's when I've hit meditation, that's when I've hit the sweet spot. But in reality, as we sort of drop down into those kind of deeper meditation states, in reality, anytime I get distracted and my mind starts coming back to the surface, as soon as I notice and I come back, that's the meditation training. That's the training of the brain. And in particular, this prefrontal cortex area, that's what we're training. So, when people say, what's the best, how do you know if you're doing it right? If you're doing it and you're showing up, you're doing it right. The experience itself is kind of irrelevant, as long as you're consciously deciding how to use how you're choosing to think.
This conversation is so helpful for me. I hope it's helpful for you guys, because I don't know, I always go into my head like, am I doing it right? What would Laura say? And there isn't a right or a wrong. And I guess, like you've said in the past, that we can't always have an instant, oh, I feel better, because it's not always about that feeling in the moment. Because just talk a little bit about the science. It's taking us from these two states that we're in, isn't it?
Yeah, so particularly at times like now, we're more often than not, a lot of us, we're in a kind of underlying stress response state in our body. So our whole body system can only be in either stress response or the relaxation response. And when we've got this kind of all this pervasive sense of danger, if you like, in our lives, we can end up in this, heightened state of alertness, almost hypervigilance about our environment and what's going on. And when we take that time to drop into just being still in this moment, we change over to the relaxation response. And the impact that has on our body is huge, because it turns that kind of chronic stress that we can be experiencing into a series of acute stresses instead, which has a very different impact on the body system. So it can be quite powerful to it's just like a little reset. It's like pressing that reset button.
And I sometimes find myself sitting there and I'll set the timer for the 8 minutes, and then I'll sort of open an eye and be like, oh, it's 4 minutes. But I'll be saying in my head, it is doing something, even though my mind's like, I'm really bored, I don't want to do this anymore, I've got other things to do. I'm like, it is doing something.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you necessarily see it.
And sometimes when in meditation, what we're really doing is becoming aware of what's there. So, if, for example, there's a lot of anxiety or frustration or difficulty in my mind, like actually in my meditation practice, that's the first thing I'm going to become aware of, is how noisy it is in my mind, how much is going on, and often even what am I feeling in my body. So not even trying to analyze, am I feeling anxious? Am I feeling, it's just, what do I feel in my body? And for me, especially when I first started meditating and I was suffering from a lot of anxiety, sometimes when I closed my eyes, I would feel this kind of rising up in my body and it felt actually a little bit uncomfortable, and I didn't want to be there. And I'd sort of fidget and squirm. But then afterwards, I would feel the benefit of actually sitting with that feeling, because a lot of the things that we do to avoid feeling those things, they're actually causing us much more suffering than the feeling itself would.
Set some reps like the gym, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So guys, I'm so excited to tell you that Laura has recorded for us 2 8-minute meditations, because obviously it's all about the 8s with the 888. And one of them is more of sort of an open awareness noticing meditation, and one's a sleep meditation. So if you're finding sort of you're struggling to get to sleep, then these are really amazing meditations. I'm going to drop the link in the comments so you'll be able to get these for absolutely for free. So Laura, 2 benefits then of this. What are 2 things that we are getting from meditating so that we can be like, okay, cool, I'm doing it?
So the first thing is a sense of calm. Now, as I said, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to feel calm in that moment of your meditation. You might do, and you might have an amazing sense of well-being and relaxing and just being. But afterwards, you generate a calm because you've switched on that relaxation response. So particularly if you find yourself feeling agitated and just like an underlying sense of just not quite feeling right, perfect. It's going to really help you to feel more grounded and centered. The second thing I would say is a major benefit is that you'll get perspective. So you'll be able to see the things that are happening and be able to observe what's going on for you. So rather than being caught up in the thoughts and the feelings that come up, you'll have space to see, that's what's happening. I'm feeling that. And it just takes the power away from it, so that you'll start to choose a response instead of being really reactive. Particularly if you've got things like kids at home, you can find yourself getting to a place where, you're just up to here and you're snapping at the kids. You're not able to get things done, and you feel like you're not behaving like the person you want. Well, you start to get that pause button, and that pause button allows you to just breathe and let it go. And so you'll make better choices.
And even if it's a partner or friends or housemates, it's a great way.
So I mean, let's just face it, being in close proximity suddenly with, or even the other end of the spectrum, suddenly finding yourself alone a lot, and feeling like you haven't got, that can drive, that can lead you into a spiral where you're not behaving how you normally would, or maybe even not looking after yourself the way you normally would. And being able to have space to recognize this is what's happening for me allows you to take action. Whereas when you're just stuck in it, you can't.
Amazing. So, right, we've got a question for you. A question from Beth. Beth says, Laura, can I do these meditations if I'm a TM practitioner? I remember them telling me only to do TM and no other meditations. Thank you.
Actually, the first type of style of meditation that I learned was Vedic meditation, which is a sort of an offshoot of TM. It's not affiliated with them, but it's the same practice, same principles of the practice. And yes, you probably wouldn't mix and match them. Like if you have got a regular TM practice where you're doing the 2 lots of 20 minutes a day, then stick with that, because you're going to get all those benefits from it. If, like a lot of people, you find that's quite restrictive and it's quite a difficult bar to meet, and it's not quite adaptive enough for your life, then I would say experiment, see what it feels like to try other types. So the open awareness style of meditation that I think one of the ones that I've recorded for Abigail, where you're literally allowing things to come in and you're just letting them flow through again, you're going to that same deep ocean. You know, when you're thinking of the stillness that you get to, it's the same place as with TM, as with this. So it's not that TM's this separate entity. So for me, I find that I like being able to adapt my meditation for my modern life and find a way that works for me. So I would say give it a try. It's like sport. You know, you might love running and run, and then you go, actually think I'm going to try swimming. And then you discover that you really like that too. So yeah, no hard and fast rules.
Thank you. Anne is asking, what is TM? So TM, Anne, is transcendental meditation. So Laura, tell us.
So yeah, so basically it was Maharishi Mahesh Yogi was the original founder of the TM movement, Transcendental Meditation movement. And so famously the Beatles went to India and they learned that style of meditation, and it's very in vogue at the moment with a lot of celebrities do it. And David Lynch Foundation is a massive sort of actually charitable organization that's taking TM, that practice. It's basically it's a practice where you practice twice a day for 20 minutes. And you use a sound. So you get given a mantra, which is like just a sound that you say in your mind really gently and softly without kind of trying to create a rhythm. And the idea behind it is that the mind finds that sound pleasurable. And so it sort of allows you, using that sound, you drop into deeper states of consciousness. That's the underlying sort of fundamental principles of it.
And as I said, guys, Laura and I've had many conversations, so I'm going to drop them. But also, Laura, where can they find out more about you? Maybe tell us about your group, so anybody who wants to understand more, who isn't so experienced, can, you know, learn from you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because there's such a vast spectrum. So the first place would be my website, which is bemodernmeditation.com. That's a great place to really understand what it is that I do and what modern meditation is all about. I'm also got on Instagram and Facebook at bemodernmeditation, and you can join my Facebook community, which is called B. If you look it up under, well, I can give you the link for it, but it's B Community. And in there, I am doing daily live meditations to really, at the moment, especially while we're recording this in the coronavirus pandemic, to support people at this difficult time. So, and I've also got a YouTube channel as well, Be Modern Meditation. So you can find a selection of those daily meditations in there. And if you subscribe, you'll get notified when new ones go up.
Amazing. Well, Laura, thank you so much for being with us. Guys, thank you for being with us also on Facebook and LinkedIn, and for asking your questions. Please share this with your friends. And as I said, and as Laura said, there are a huge variety of ways to meditate. But as long as you take away from this that it's the feeling that it's going to give you, whichever way works for you is the way that is meant to be. But if you want to know more, then Laura's a great person. She's many years of experience, and also just managed to get to the US for training with some huge meditation experts before the lockdown came in, didn't you?
Yeah, I was so two of my kind of meditation heroes, Sharon Salzberg, who practices a type of meditation called loving kindness meditation, and Will Kabat-Zinn, who's the son of John Kabat-Zinn, who's another meditation giant who devised the mindfulness-based stress reduction program. So yeah, I was so happy to have time to go on retreat with them and really just deepen my own understanding and practice as well. So
yeah. Laura is a fountain of knowledge, of information, because there are so many different ways. And that's why I went to her in the first place, because I was just like, I don't know what to do, but I know it's going to make me feel better. Help. So amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time. Guys, I'm so excited to see you again tomorrow. And something really crazy fun is going to happen. We're going to have our first ever panel event. So I have got 5 guests, and we're going to be having a conversation all about remote working, working in the crisis, what's going on right now. And they're going to be giving you their tips based on what they're doing, how they've pivoted their business, and how they're managing their time. Everybody's got a different background. It's going to be really, really interesting. First time I've ever done something like this. So it's either going to be absolutely amazing, or it's going to be something we'll talk about. But either way, I can't wait to see you tomorrow at 11. It's going to be so much fun. Laura, thank you so much for being with us today. You are amazing.
You're welcome.
And everybody have a fantastic rest of the day.
Bye-bye.
Stay safe, be well, and don't forget to wash your hands.